So hey guys, welcome to part 8. Thank you for any of those who have stuck around this whole time and have seen all 8 parts of this segment of this series. I'm really hoping I can wrap the things up here at part 8 and then move on to the documentary and TV show series thing that I hope to work on after this series of videos. And hopefully with that one I can keep it down to just 2 or 3 parts for that one. So for this last part, in part 8, you guys, I just have 2 films to talk about with you guys, and they're actually 2 newer release films that came out in 2021 relatively a couple weeks ago, and one of them actually came out just about a week ago around the time that this was filmed. So for the first film in this segment, you guys, I'm going to talk about Free Guy. For those who don't know what this film is about, it's about a background character in an open world video game. He is a bank teller. He's not really a playable character to the people who play the game. And one day while he's working, he comes across or while he's done with working, I should say, he comes across these virtual reality glasses that lets him become a playable character in the game and kind of let him make his own choices. He doesn't have to be that bank teller that he's assigned to within the game. And so he becomes romantically involved with this other player who is a big part of the game. And he has to basically find a way to save the game because he finds out the company that made it is trying to shut it down in place of a sequel that's going to replace this world that he lives in. So throughout the movie, he's trying to figure out how to save this world, how to kind of keep this relationship with this girl who does live in the real world while also being a player in the game. What exactly can he do to kind of save this world and prevent this sequel from happening? And what are some kind of opposing forces that he faces that are going to prevent him from completing his journey? And all that happens over the course of Free Guy. So overall, guys, I really like this film a lot. It's very fun to watch. This is for my positives and negatives. Very fun to watch. Always entertaining. It never gets boring. I was completely entertained from start to finish. It's definitely a film that you'll never get bored by. Like I said, it's always entertaining. It's really fun to watch, and there's always an entertaining thing happening throughout the entire course of the movie. It's also fun to see all the small nods and slight references to pop culture references and to video game related references, whether it's somebody's partner in the video game world named Luigi, or a Pac-Man ghost showing up somewhere, or Disney related properties showing up every once in a while, since Disney now owns Fox, so they can now incorporate Disney related things into this kind of project. Just a lot of fun references and nods throughout the movie that really make it a fun watch. This film also has a lot on its mind regarding artificial intelligence in video games and background characters, and what kind of life situations they might face behind the scenes. What are some things these characters might think about and might want to be interested in doing when they are a playable character, and now that these characters are now free and kind of willing to make their own choices. It's interesting to see kind of what some of them do, what some of them still kind of do for a job and things like that. So it really has a lot of its mind regarding artificial intelligence and how that can work its way into video games and become a very interesting thing as well. Ryan Reynolds and Jodie Comer play the 2 lead characters in this movie. Ryan Reynolds obviously being Guy, or in this case the Free Guy, and Jodie Comer is this other player that, like I said, he becomes romantically involved with. And they both really do steal the show here, whether it is Jodie Comer doing something out in reality or doing something within the video game world with her playable character. The 2 of them play off of each other really well. They both have really cool humor and action moments to work with in this film. Just a ton of fun things to work with for the both of them, and you can tell they really had a blast filming this while making this movie. And then for my negatives of Free Guy, it is kind of trying to be a genre mashup movie. There's moments that are trying to be a rom-com, moments that are trying to be a comedy, moments that are trying to be an action movie, moments that are trying to be a drama, and moments that are trying to be a science fiction movie. And even though it sometimes works as a genre mashup movie, some of the genres seem to work better than others. There's just a lot of moments where maybe the action's a little underwhelming or some of the humor's a little underwhelming because it is trying to be so many genres at once. It does feel like it has a hard time committing to what genre it wants to be within. The film also does feel a little unfocused at times. There's some select spots, and there's a fly on my computer. So after getting rid of that fly on my computer, the film does feel a little unfocused at times. It has there's some select spots in this movie that really don't feel like they know what they're doing. So there's just certain moments in the film where it just feels really unfocused and really could have used a better focus within the script. Another negative I had with Free Guy is sometimes the film exists to be entertaining, and sometimes that's really all it's trying to do. Um, and after a while, it really is kind of a movie where you feel like is just trying to be this 2 hour film that's just trying to entertain you, and sometimes it's trying to do really nothing more than that. So it is kind of disappointing because it is trying to say stuff about artificial intelligence and things like that. But there's just a lot of moments here too where you feel like they're just out to entertain you, and that's really all they're really out to do, unfortunately, and sometimes in this movie. But overall, and for Free Guy, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's a really fun movie. I had a really fun time watching it. It's very entertaining. I'm probably going to own Free Guy on Blu-ray and DVD at some point. Definitely a fun film to watch if you feel safe going back to the theater. 8.5 out of 10 for that one. And then for the last film in the movie-related part of the segment, you guys, I'm going to talk about the new Hugh Jackman film, Reminiscence. In this film, basically, Hugh Jackman is this detective within a futuristic Miami. Miami went through this bad war and a bad flood, and so basically everything is wet. There's always water on the ground everywhere. And basically, people are living off of their nostalgia and living off of things back when things were going right with everybody. And so basically, Hugh Jackman and his partner, who's played by Tandy Newton in this movie, I think her character's name is Watts in the film. Basically, they run this business where you can pay them to go inside this little water machine tank thing, and you're able to live out a memory that you had, and you're able to kind of interact with people that are within that memory and things like that. So you're able to kind of do things within the memory that maybe you weren't able to do in real life back when that happened. And so basically, over the course of the film, Hugh Jackman has this client that shows up one day that he basically kind of vaguely remembers. And so because he is so fascinated with this woman who's played by Rebecca Ferguson, he's constantly going back and looking at memories that he has that she's in, and trying to figure out where exactly she went, why she's missing, how come she showed up this one day but not on other days, and what happened with her over the years and things like that. So over the course of the film, he's trying to figure out what exactly happened to this woman, what can he do about it, and who are the people responsible for kind of making her disappear as long as she has. So for this movie, you guys, I thought Reminiscence was okay. For my positives and negatives of this film, Christopher Nolan's sister-in-law directed this film, and she's worked on scripts with his brother Jonathan Nolan, who she's married to. They co-wrote episodes of Westworld together, and I guess they've directed some episodes and things like that. So this is kind of her first feature-length film, and for the most part, she did certain things really well and certain things not so well. So for my positives and negatives for this movie, I thought it had an interesting setup. I like the futuristic world that this film revolves around. It is this interesting, like I said, wet Miami with water kind of flooding the ground everywhere. It really does feel very different. It does kind of feel like something maybe Christopher Nolan would have done, and maybe one of his scenes in Inception and things like that, like something out of one of his films. It has an interesting world, and I'll go over some other things that are interesting about this movie. Like it has an interesting concept, for example, and the film noir atmosphere that it's trying to go for, I thought was very interesting. It's a very interesting approach to the movie as well, and definitely some small nods to film noir. Like there's a scene where Hugh Jackman's wearing like this white suit that's kind of a nod to like Chinatown and the Maltese Falcon and things like that. So I like this film noir aspect that Lisa Joy, who directed the film, is trying to go for. It has an interesting sci-fi concept. I like the idea of people kind of living off their nostalgia after a rough time and after a rough war in the future and things like that. So setting-wise, this movie was great. Like the setting and the concept and all that stuff was very good. The film's use of and value for nostalgia, I thought, was very effective here. How people use memories to acquire more knowledge in the future also felt like something that people would really do in the future like this. So I thought that aspect of the film was very accurate as far as what people would do to kind of move forward and how they would use their memories and nostalgia to kind of move forward with their lives and make themselves happier and use this technology that Hugh Jackman and his partner kind of run in this laboratory somewhere. So I thought that aspect of the film was very effective. Hugh Jackman and Rebecca Ferguson also give great performances here. They really are great performers in this movie. They worked together earlier in the Greatest Showman back when that movie came out. So they really work well off of each other here. So I thought that was another aspect of the film that really worked in this movie. For my negatives of Reminiscence, though, once you kind of know the film's mystery and once it's kind of unraveling itself, there really isn't much of a mystery after you kind of find out what's really going on. And it's one of those things where once you kind of find out what the real mystery was, it really feels like they kind of spent too much time on nothing, and they really just could have simplified it down more than they did. So I thought that aspect of the film was kind of disappointing because the trailers made it seem like there was this big mystery that Hugh Jackman had to solve. And I feel like that is a little misleading for how this movie played out. It's also not the easiest film to follow. There's a lot of scenes where you're really not sure if Hugh Jackman's in reality or using his machine to kind of interact and do things within his memories to kind of learn more about this woman and things like that. So it's not the easiest film to follow. There's just a lot of side tracks that it takes that really don't feel like they pay off in the end. So I thought, as far as following the film goes, I thought the film would have done a better job if it found a way for the audience to kind of keep track of what's going on better as the film progressed. The film is also really unclear with its rules, exactly how the memories thing work, how long you can access those memories for. There's a lot of scenes that suggest that you can only be in there for so long without frying your brain. There's other scenes that suggest that if you're in there for too long, it could kill you. But there's other scenes where somebody's in there for like numerous years, and you really don't know how that works and how they're not dead and how they're still able to kind of view these memories and play it out. So there's certain scenes like that that really kind of don't make the rules very clear in this movie. So I thought that aspect of the film, as far as setting up rules goes, would have benefited this film in the long run. The film also has a tendency to act strange and be strange for no real reason. Without giving too much away, there's literally a scene where Hugh Jackman's getting clues about this woman, and he's talking to this lady that has like this dementia issue of some kind. So she's always forgetting about people who kind of come and go out of this place she lives in. And there's a scene that kind of suggests that she kind of wants her son to kill himself. So there's weird things like that that are just really weird in this. Just like, why would anybody in the right mind ever encourage somebody to do something that horrible and things like that? So there's just a lot of scenes that are just strange to be strange. So I thought that aspect of the film was really kind of an uncomfortable way to digest the movie. But overall, I would give Reminiscence a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was okay. I mean, it has an interesting setup. It has an interesting concept. I like this whole idea of a flood in Miami after a war in the future. There's obviously the use of nostalgia and memories are very good in it, but man, like the mystery behind the movie really isn't all that interesting. It's kind of hard to follow at times. The film is unclear as to what kind of set of rules it wants to accomplish and set up in this, and like how people can access their memories and how long they can do it. And like I said, there's just a lot of scenes in it that it feels like it just wants to be strange for the sake of being strange. So I thought that aspect of the film was really not very good in this either. So I would give Reminiscence a 7.5 out of 10. Maybe rent it at some point if you like the work of Christopher Nolan and people who are kind of inspired by his work and everything. And if you like, old film noir kind of films. But yeah, it's just not like a great standalone movie. It's not a film I could see myself rewatching a lot. It's an okay film. Maybe rent it at some point down the line. I don't think I could send you to the theater to see that one. So that's it for the movie segment of what I've seen over the course of my recovery, you guys. I'm hoping to kind of go back to my standard format after this as far as reviewing films go, kind of give them their own standalone video for reviewing them. But I am going to cover documentaries and TV shows I've watched over the course of my recovery, so be sure to stay tuned for that. I'm hoping to keep that within a 2 or 3 part kind of video, so be sure to stay tuned for that, and I'll let you know what I've seen over the course of my recovery as far as TV shows and documentaries go.